It's 2007. It's my first day as an engineer at my first job, and I am so excited. I can hardly wait to begin. 1 month later, I hated it. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand the bureaucracy. I couldn't stand feeling powerless. I couldn't make a difference. I started to question every decision that I had ever made in my entire life that had led me to that moment. So I do what all people do who are incredibly basic, and I backpacked around Asia to find myself. What I found was a people that the world had forgotten, and I found a couple lessons about leadership that I wanted to share with you today. There's a nomadic tribe of sea gypsies off the coast of Burma, and they have no citizenship, no passports, so when the tsunami came, they were devastated, and there was no aid and no help. So I went to help them rebuild their village, and I learned about their stories. And one of the things they told me is that for thousands of years they fished, but now in order to eat, they have to risk going to Burma, where if they're spotted, they can be imprisoned for 10 years or even shot at. And it was difficult. Then I met a man who, when I met him, introduced himself as a bondservant of Jesus Christ. And then he tilted his head up and laughed because he thought his joke was so hilarious. But every morning, the children of the village lined up outside of Vichay's hut, and he would give them medicines, and he would lovingly diagnose them. Every afternoon, he wrote letters to nonprofits. He wrote news outlets. He was there to make a difference. And I was shocked when I saw on his hut a Nobel Peace Prize. I couldn't believe it. I thought, what on earth is a Nobel Peace Prize winner doing in this village, this unknown village, this unknown people? When I thought about Nobel Peace Prize winners, I thought about these kind of folks. And then it started to dawn on me that only a Nobel Peace Prize winner would be exactly where people need him the most, and they need his leadership the most. Over the next several years, Vichai built 100 houses. He involved several nonprofits, several groups. He started to get international coverage for these people, and things started to look up. Some of them even started to get visas. So what does any of this have to do with leadership? Well, although the stakes are higher, the conditions of that village are not so unlike the business environment today. The environment is completely volatile. The solutions are uncertain. The problems are complex. Everything is ambiguous. Some of the factors are digitalization, globalization, the war on talent. That's only a tiny partial list. So we started to think, what can we learn from Vichai about what it takes to successfully lead in today's environment? And we spent 18 months researching what kind of skills and characteristics and talking to executives and researching articles. And here's what we found. It's that the leader of the future operates based on principles. Now, the model itself is a fusion of agile principles from the software methodology and leadership principles from the beginning of time. But if you ask me, I say that they're actually spiritual principles. Oh, it was supposed to be a joke. Okay, so, yes, I just said it, that in order for leaders to succeed today, they must undergo a spiritual transformation. Now, why is that? It's because a spiritual transformation is what actually changes the context of what it is to lead, from serving oneself and one's ego to actually being of service to others and to people, the way that Vichai was in that village. So what are some of those principles? The first is self-awareness. Now, self-awareness has an inverse correlation to assholeness. If you haven't seen this in the 360 assessments, usually there's an immediate transformation. Next is being empowering. So instead of command and control and directing people, agile leaders empower their people. They serve them, they love them, they nurture them, they give them resources, and they remove all their impediments. And last is being collaborative. Agile leaders create communities of people across complex, interrelated networks of stakeholders. They bring people into purpose, into meaning, and they create a future that was never going to happen. So what? So what does that mean for you as HR people? Well, it means the way that you have been thinking about, identifying, in recruiting talent has to change dramatically to start to look at principles, to start to look at what kind of leader is going to be needed to succeed in the environment of the future. So, what is the leader of the future? The leader of the future is agile, the leader of the future is spiritual, and the leader of the future may surprise you by being a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Thank you.